Electricity is dangerous.
Okay guys, here we go. Video 3 of 3 on three-way switching. You're going to notice that I got rid of all those other boxes. I added a power source in case you're getting your power source from a junction box. It's not the same box as your three-way switch. That'll be fine. And then I also put the light in between the two three-way switches, which is a harder way to do this. But if you draw your boxes out, you're going to find that it's actually not that bad. So step 1 has already been handled. Draw and label the boxes. Okay, you see I've got my square, square, octagon, square, power source, three-way, light, and three-way. So draw and label the boxes is done. Draw and label the terminations. 1 and 8 are the power source. You can see that that holds true. 1 and 8 are the power source. The first S3 is 2, 3, 4. The light is 7 and 8. And then the last three-way is 5, 6, and 7. So all of that works out. Okay, so on to step 3. Draw and label the return and the neutral. Once again, I love to start with this because now it's just off the table, and if you have to make a white splice somewhere, you know it's not your neutral, okay? So let's get rid of that. Let's go ahead and draw and label our neutral. Now, anytime that you are using Romex as your wiring method, I tell my students to draw the splice in the box, because now you know that in this three-way box, you're going to have a splice of 2 white wires already, right? Okay, remember, label everything, guys and girls. Label as much as you can. You cannot have too much information here. All right, so now step 4 is done, right? We went right to the load with the neutral. So let's look at step 5. Draw and label the controls. So we're going to have to bounce these step 4 off of these 2 rules here, because the neutral's done, so, you know, rule 1 doesn't matter anymore. Travelers can only go to other travelers. That's just as good a place to start as any. And here we go. So it looks like 3 is the traveler that goes to 5. Okay? So in order to get that going, let's go 3. And again, if you have to splice through a box, it behooves you to keep tabs on it. Okay? Before labeling this wire, let's go ahead and just do the other one. The other traveler. 4 looks like it's going to connect to 6. And if I go this way, splice it through. Okay, it looks like we're going to go up to 6. Okay, so travelers can only go to other travelers. That's done. We had to splice it off, but at least it's done now. And the common can only have the feed in or the feed out, right? So let's go continuing on with our control, and it looks like 1 is going to terminate with 2, and that should be as easy as that. And then 7 should go to 7. Okay, let's give that a little bit better. I can do that better than that. 7 should terminate to number 7. Okay, quick side note. Whenever you have 2 wires that cross each other like this in a schematic, you should put a little jump symbol in here, right? You should get one of these little guys. I'm not going to do that. It's become more and more commonplace that they don't do that. If these wires should all be insulated anyway, so that's why we're not doing that. Now let's take a look at our labeling, because we got to label it before we move on. If this is going to be a 14-2, then you know, if the white's already being used, that this has got to be a black wire, okay? Now here and here, it really doesn't matter which one it's going to be. Black. And if it's a 14-3, remember that the other color is going to be red, right? So if you want to appease your OCD, let's make that guy red. Okay. Now when you come here into labeling this between these 2 here, this is where this is going to get curious, because this common cannot be a white wire. Okay, it cannot be white. So you got to pick black or red. And the reason it can't be white is because then if you went to this light box and you opened it up, you'd have a white wire on the neutral and a white wire on the hot. That's only one of the actual 3 or 4 reasons you can't do that. So let's arbitrarily pick black. Now the other 2 travelers I don't care about. Okay, you can make this one red. And if you want, let's make this one the dub. We'll make that one white. Okay, and I'll just make it white for this one piece here. So we can take a look at our finished product. Now, This should not confuse you too much. If this is the situation that you have, please remember, if you open your light, right? If you were to open this light up, you would see a black wire spliced with a red. Okay, or it would be black to black. Some people like to keep those colors the same. I would do that probably. Okay, this three-way switch would have just 3 wires terminated onto a switch. Can't draw any power from here. There's no neutral, but that's what you would have. You would have a black, red, white. That's your end of the line, right? But in this light, you would have black to red, and then you would have a red to white splice, which is completely okay. Some states are going to make these electricians mark this with tape. I'm in Massachusetts, and we don't have to re-identify our neutral. As a matter of fact, we can't, unless it's a different size altogether. So in this box, if you were to pull this 3-way, you're going to notice that there is a red and black traveler, and then you've got a black common with a white to white splice, right? So you can see that following this did not fail us typically, right? I mean, technically, it was pretty good. It got us through that. This is one of the more difficult ways to wire 3-way. Maybe I'm going to make another video on the one of the last ways to wire it.